Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back. We're at the Hollywood Museum, and I'm with actor, teacher Jack Fry, an award-winning playwright and fully credentialed teacher who lives in Los Angeles. But the Indiana native studied with the Meisner Technique, the Shakespeare Company, and Adam Rourke's Film Acting Lab. His work has taken him on stages all over the world, and at the London Fringe Festival, he was awarded Best Actor for his Einstein solo performance. What was your major in college?
My major in college was TV journalism, TV film, broadcast journalism / some hyphens.
Well, then how do we get to the teaching credential?
Well, both my parents were, education was very stressed. My dad went to Harvard, my mom went to Cornell, so they were both well educated, and they wanted me to be educated. So education was always forefront
Right.
of my. So when then I had to, I came here and I thought, well, I got into substitute school teaching. Eventually, I got my credential, teach full time, and so.
So you never took teaching courses,
I
basically.
did.
Where did you go to school?
I went to Southern Methodist University, but I went through the DI program, which is called the District Intern Program here, where it's sort of a rush. It's not, you can still get fully credentialed, but they put you into a classroom and you take classes simultaneously.
So that led you to be able to take the test and get
Right.
credentialed here. I see.
Exactly.
But when you went to Southern Methodist, what
That's a
career
mouthful.
path? Southern Methodist. What career path were you going to take?
Well, I was performing there, some stand-up comedy and things like that on stages. I'd opened up for Elvis impersonator. I was an opener at a few places. So I was performing, but I also wanted to learn behind the scenes. And, I still use those skills today. So I came out to L.A. Getting into acting was really, tough. It's
Did you have a connection when you came out? I mean,
not really. A mutual friend. One was a big connection. Tom Blomquist, who happens to be the director for the Einstein show. He was a great connection. Ended up being my mentor.
oh, that's great.
Yeah, and so we've had a wonderful creative relationship for a few decades.
So now you're here in LA, and
now.
you're teaching, and you're also performing. I think let's talk about Call Me Mr. Fry, because that has comedy, drama, everything involved. And was it a one-person play?
It's a one-person show, and that is sort of my quote-unquote masterpiece, in my opinion, humble opinion.
Is it?
Well, I mean,
Because it was your first one, right?
My first one, but I've done 150 rewrites of it until I just constantly challenge the material. But now I wouldn't change a word of it, and I've done that close to 300 times now. All Mexico twice, Canada, all over North America.
But in what kind of venues?
All types of venues, performing arts centers. I actually did the show in the Lyndon B. Johnson Auditorium in Washington, D.C., where the Department of Education is, where Obama always gives his speeches for education. Ani Duncan was there in the audience and saw the show.
It was a great success. You had a lot of
I did
interesting
2 of them
people come
there.
to see it,
I
right?
had 2 audiences of 500 of all the people that make the legislation, educational laws the federal laws that are mandated.
And why were they so taken with it? What's the story?
Well, it's about a first-year teacher who's sort of innocent, and he goes in and he wants to change the world, and it's really, it's a true story, and it's a combination of comedy and drama. It's sort of I would say it's Animal House meets To Sir with Love.
And your students were calling you Mr. Fry, right? It was a fifth grade class?
Yeah, it's a 5th grade class. I teach 5th grade. Yes.
And so, you teach fifth grade all the time?
Yeah.
And how do you get away from the class to do these gigs that you do?
Well, a lot of them are during the summer. And I have a very awesome principal who lets me, if I don't take too much of a chunk, and usually the times that I go are usually a long weekend. It's like a Wednesday through a Sunday.
And you don't have to put a lot of rehearsal time into it, obviously, at the venue.
Right, because it's already set. And
Right.
all they have to do is just build the set, do their marketing. I fly in, do the show, fly out.
Well, but tell me what Mr. Fry was about. What are some of the lines
Oh God, I got some of the Einstein lines.
No, we're
Mr.
going to talk
Fry,
about the Einstein, but I mean, why? What were your students
it's about my
doing?
relationship with two children
Oh,
and how we affected each other's lives. One of the kids, his uncle dies, and the other one is very needy and lonesome, and it's a show that really has a lot of drama in it, and it's told with real student artifacts, and it's a multimedia show like my Einstein show.
And did you change the wording a lot? You said you rewrote it a lot.
I didn't change the wording. The drama of this show hasn't changed a word since I started, but it was the comedy around it.
I see that you have to add.
Yeah, that I interweave. So it's really, people see it. You're laughing one minute and you're crying the very next.
But that's what happens. I taught down on 52nd Street,
really?
and for a long time.
What did you teach?
I taught first grade. But I had children that had so many problems that we were solving problems along with trying to educate.
Yeah, that's a real
And
challenge.
it sounds like that's what you were going through in your fifth grade class.
Yes, it's a personal experience. It's the drama behind the classroom door.
Yeah, which other people don't understand.
No, they don't. And I hadn't, been in elementary school for quite a number of years, so when getting back into teach, I go, oh yeah, there's recess. Oh yeah, okay, kids go out for recess, okay. And
then you're like fights on the playground and all this.
Yeah.
But anyway, you were in a lot of independent films and you've been on a lot of stages. What kind of films were you in?
I did one called The Salmon Run, which was a really good show about a guy who's was dying of cancer. It's a real comedy.
I know. We've got like heavy duty here.
But it was really good. And then I did one with Jessica Tandy, the Story Lady, and I was featured in that one. And I just did a comedy pilot called Whoa.
What about the stage? Do you do other people's work or only your own?
I do, but lately my own has just been taking so much charge. I haven't had time to do anybody else's. Okay,
let's talk about why it's taking charge. First of all, the Call Me Mr. Fry has a long background, DC, all over the world too, right? But now Einstein. Why Einstein after a fifth grade class? This is like going the opposite way.
It was. That's a great question. I was going to do Mr. Fry too, but I decided, I wanted to spread my wings a little bit artistically, and I've always been interested in metaphysics, meaning ESP, things we can't see, sliding doors, or as astroplaning. I thought, what does Einstein think about this? Because it's quantum physics. And
I was going to say, were you a math major?
I wasn't, but I'm an armchair math major appreciator.
Are you good? Can you figure things out?
No.
But you had to go, you did this great research and you had 15,000 documents to go through.
It's amazing.
I mean, were they math documents?
No, they're letters. They're letters back and forth. They have those, but I didn't. That's Greek to me. But then I stumbled upon this story, which ended up being to me more fascinating. And what's interesting about Albert Einstein is that people didn't know he was married until the 80s, 30 years after his death.
The 80s? Because I was going to ask you what this actual story of Einstein is. He got a divorce, or he couldn't get a divorce.
Yeah, he was struggling to get a divorce. It got stretched out, but he ended up finally getting one. But no one knew he was married to Mileva until the 80s, so he's very secretive. When Einstein died, literally hour after he died, the Israeli Guard came into Princeton University with trucks, and they hauled all his boxes. He came from the writing generation, the letter generation. So imagine hundreds of boxes. And every 10 or 15 years, Hebrew University will let out a little bit more information. A new book will be written, a new bestseller. And this time around, it was Walter Isaacson, Einstein's Life and His Universe, which were based on this release. And so coming across these, I just found this incredible story that no one knew. It was about his fight for relativity around the early teens, during the war was happening. Berlin was crumbling. He had people trying to steal his theories. He had people who believed in his theories trying to steal them, yet he was up against the establishment who thought, what? Bending of time and space, you got to be crazy. Messy divorce, kid with his loves and adores slipping through his fingers.
So he was dealing with this marital problems and fatherhood,
Yes.
and health
Divorce.
issues.
Health issues too, because he was all the stress was he had stomach ulcers that he was inherited by his mother. So he would literally couldn't get out of bed, and he had once they thought it was proven a huge scientific bashlag saying, "Oh, you're right, Einstein," but no, you're wrong. So.
But how could they steal his theories? I mean,
it's really whoever publishes something first is able to go to claim.
Right.
But he had published a lot of incorrect versions, and so people are going, "You don't know how to do it. I'll get this right."
Oh, Einstein had published wrong.
Yeah.
On purpose, or just because that was his
because
theory?
it's so complicated.
I see.
And
I see.
it's a little bit off. It's a little bit off. He published 5 incorrect versions.
Wow. So when you produce this on stage, you're there alone. I see you have like ups and downs on the stage set.
Right. I have different levels to
And
help us create in and out of time.
And that tells the time.
Well, the story's
sequence.
linear, but he steps out, talks to the audience. I do it as Einstein coming back from the dead, so he has a modern perspective.
And you're in what kind of costume? Like a 70s big wide lapels?
Yeah, it looks like a 70s, but it's supposed to be a him dressed at that time period.
I see. And then your director, you have a director, obviously.
I have a fantastic director, Tom Blomquist, a fantastic vocal coach and assistant director, Peggy O'Neill, and a wonderful technical director, John Toome. So I've got a great team around me, and they've made this thing, it's taken off. It's great.
And now the last production was at the Santa Monica Playhouse. And
yes.
where else will you take it?
I'm going to Manila in July for a month. Very excited,
great.
taking the show there.
In July, the summer months, right?
So, and then I'm taking it to Detroit and Northern California.
Fantastic.
And, this is great.
Will it be made into a film?
I think it should be.
Can you do that?
I would love to. Maybe you can help me.
Maybe we'll. Hello out
with
there.
your Hollywood connections.
Can we help Jack Fry make this into a film? The other thing, give us a line of Einstein. Do you change your voice?
Yeah, okay. So let's say the setup is Einstein has just gotten off the phone with his wife, Mileva just hung up on him because they're arguing about custody of the kids. Okay. So it'd be sort of like, marriage is the unsuccessful attempt to make something lasting out of an incident. All marriage is dangerous. Women marry men hoping they will change, but men marry women hoping they will not, so each is disappointed. And sex. Sex is the price you ladies must pay for marriage. But marriage is the price we men must pay for sex. Is that fair?
That's right. That's so true.
So, he talks to the audience. He breaks the fourth wall to conclude the audience. Then he'll create scenes and create other characters to bring you into the drama. No one's ever done a one-person show like this. They always do the like the Mark Twain narrative.
To
one
them,
person.
right? That's what I was going to ask you. Does the audience respond? Do you hear people responding to you?
Oh, yes, that's the greatest thing about live performance. That's why we do it. That's why we do it.
Well, I'm glad that you came and told us about it. It's a very interesting thing because it's so personal, right? Yes. Einstein's life is so personal. And also, they call me Mr. Fry. Very personal.
There would be no Einstein if there was not they call me Mr. Fry.
Thanks, Mr. Jack Fry.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Fry.
So good to see you. I love it. You look wonderful.
Thank you very much.
You're very hot.
Thank you. Thanks for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles. Write to us at JAQUINN1 at AOL.com. Bye.